Arthas are both up and available. I wonder if they are blind pick worthy. I think that Bwipo has said himself he's not a super fan of just blind picking the set, so Aphelios would make more sense to me.
Doesn't want to risk the set blind pick. And of course, we already saw from Bwipo, very comfortable in the Gangplank versus set matchup, maybe daring Odoamne to pick it. Odoamne, I'll be honest, Betty, I want to see him play Aatrox. It's the only champion he's won on so far. His poppy performance yesterday was excellent, but I want to see him on a carry top laner. For now, it will, however, just be the Xayah Rakan as a response to the Aphelios.
Full hover of the Talon there. I did see him playing Talon jungle on stream the other day. I don't think it's highly probable that he is going to play it, but on 10.4, a lot of, I'm going to say like random champions got their damage buffed.
Yeah, like look like Darius, like Gnar. It's like, okay, all right, sure.
So yeah, maybe Ryan trying to incentivize some new assassin junglers, but it's going to be Tahm Kench. I'm never really a fan of this champion, but I guess it makes sense.
I like Tahm Kench in theory, but Hylissang Tahm Kench I don't love. Not that he's not a competent Tahm Kench player, just that it's Hylissang, the Rakan guy, the Pyke guy, the Leona guy. So, good pick overall in the meta, but definitely not what you love to see.
Yeah, and it's definitely not blind pick. I think it may... honestly, I don't think it's that strong of a pick into Rakan, because I think that
yeah,
as a
you
champion,
both get knocked up.
You can both get knocked up. You can both get charmed. Like, there's a lot about... Wow, and Fnatic even going for the Lee Sin as well. That does surprise me. Recently, they've been saving their jungle to second half rotation, and they've been prioritizing top lane picks. Things like the Gangplank, they also could have considered sets here. Especially when you know that Schalke's likely to go towards the Aatrox pick, as you were talking about earlier, Dynadrakos. So, yeah, this draft is a little bit surprising from the side of Fnatic. We expect strong solo lanes now to come out from this squad. Cassio is, of course, still up and available. Let's see what direction they take. Schalke, you would imagine that they would look to ban away some of the safe blind pick mid laners. Maybe consider a Ryze, maybe consider a Cassio ban, maybe a LeBlanc ban as well. I don't think we really see much LeBlanc from Nemesis, though. That doesn't really fit into his playstyle, from my memory.
Yeah. He has said, he did say in the Pro Player Pop quiz, much likes the champions like Xerath, more like the Veigar, kind of feels like those are where he really likes, or feels like those have a big amount of skill expression that he likes to go for. For now, it will just be the blind pick Gangplank taken away from Bwipo. I like that Schalke are kind of trying to set Odoamne up for success here. I feel like he has been the strongest individual member, but we'll see what Fnatic's response is, because when you think about champion pools, I feel like Fnatic's should be much deeper from what we've seen so far, and
this is a LeBlanc ban.
yeah, with Schalke, I feel like are going to be the ones to suffer if too many of their priority picks are taken away.
So I'm thinking Schalke could ban Set here, and then they are safe to blind pick the Aatrox, and they can give counter pick to Abbedagge. Or they could look to ban away a mid laner here, and then blind pick their mid, given that Fnatic has banned away the LeBlanc, and then save counter pick for Odo.
Yeah, Fnatic really set up to kind of rinse and repeat a lot of their composition that we saw yesterday, even if it was a bit strange. Schalke, however, not interested in dealing with that, so they will ban the Veigar out. Veigar, rather.
Schalke could be thinking about a Ryze right now. They could also be thinking about a blind pick Azir. I know that Veigar does typically do quite well into the Azir, which could be one of the reasons why they take it off the board. A lot of thought being given from both teams about what they want to do in the second phase. Ooh, and the Aatrox actually is taken. Okay, so this suggests Set for Schalke, but of course if you do Set, then Singed could come out from Fnatic, potentially a Zac as well. There's a lot of flex options. So I think the safer play here from Schalke is to actually just lock in something like a Cassio. Pretty safe blind. Of course, Zoe can come in from the side of Fnatic, but they're going to go for the Azir. Okay, I'm never really a fan of Azir plus Rek'Sai, because I don't think that it offers you a very strong mid-jungle duo. However, Rek'Sai does have pretty strong gank set up towards the bot side of the map. I think the problem Azir is going to have is making sure that he gains priority in this matchup, because of course he is the blind in this situation. So we'll see how things work out.
And the debate now on the Fnatic side, exactly what they want to pick. Of course, we'll have to finish out their composition here. The Diana now coming through to go into the hands of Nemesis. Sort of something truly crazy. And that's going to be a lot of pressure on Abbedagge to survive the early game. The setup, especially once Diana hits 6 with a Lee Sin there as well. So you're just going to have to be on top of it. The set will be the final lock-in. So unlike yesterday, a lot more engage options on the side of Fnatic here.
Yeah, but I don't think their engage options are that good, Drakos.
They're a bit unreliable, yeah.
Because, like, right now, your Diana is your primary engage, and I don't think Diana has the funnest time against a Xayah, because the moment she jumps in, Xayah ulties, and then you're fine. But also, a Xayah wall is really obnoxious, to deal with as a Diana, because every time you jump in, whoop, you just get pushed back immediately. So the Diana pick does surprise me. I think that you can do fine in the laning phase because you can farm pretty safely with your Q. Definitely win on a side lane. That's a big thing to note. I'm curious as to how the Mordekaiser Diana matchup will play out into the later stages. I would say that Diana has the advantage. At least that would be my expectation, because on 3 items, she feels like one of the strongest duelists in the game when you combine Nash's Tooth with her passive. Very, very potent. But I also like the Mordekaiser pick coming out from Schalke as an answer to Set, because I think in the laning phase, Mordekaiser is a really big bully. And this Mordekaiser ult, I would love to see it if he actually removed the Tahm Kench from the fight, because then that Aphelios doesn't have that same level of protection, and that means the Rakan can dive into the backline and actually threaten him as a backline. But we'll have to wait and see. I think that this Fnatic draft is, again, similar to yesterday, a little bit all over the shop. I'm surprised that they're playing so much on a weak side of... They're playing weak side in the bot lane, because I think it's a dangerous thing to do. But they successfully proved yesterday how they can play very effectively through mid, through early ganking, good utilization of the teleports from Bwipo. I'm excited to see how they make this draft work, because I think on paper, Schalke have a lot of options in the early game, and they have pretty good scaling later on.
It sounds a little bit like Vedius that you might think that if we turn the nameplates off, the Schalke's composition might make a little bit more sense. That's what it sounds like to me.
I mean, I don't really like the Azir, but I wouldn't say that. I'd say both comps are a little weird for different reasons. Both have options. What I think is really important to recognize is that Fnatic is pretty item reliant on things like Aphelios and the Diana, whereas I think Schalke can do a lot more on one item with Mordekaiser, Rek'Sai, and then Xayah Rakan. But that's why I think the Azir is a little weird, because I don't think that he's the strongest one-item champion. If you do rush Nash's Tooth, then I think he has a little bit more value. But we'll have to see what option that he goes for.
Wrong
It's surprising that we've got Reckless up in the top lane. What are they setting up here? Dive onto... Oh, dive.
Oh, classic level 1, the kick over the wall. They know who they want to focus. Odoamne being targeted, but Lurox is here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a Q from Selfmade.
He's slowly but surely auto-attacking, but Mordekaiser is very tanky, and it's ultimately a little bit pointless. It does give Inax and Dreams access to the bottom side. They're going to be able to lay down vision and try to track Selfmade in the early game. So ultimately, pretty inconsequential, all things considered. Just a bit of a vision trade. Actually, not even really a vision trade, just purely vision advantage now for the side of Schalke.
Yes, 100%. It is a vision advantage. I really want to see what the jungle pathing is here. Ooh, I like this. So Sweeper going to come out from Hylissang. This will not tell Schalke where... Wait.
What?
This will not tell Schalke where Fnatic is starting. The expectation will be that he's starting bot side, because of course they'll see the duo get late to lane. They'll gain that information now, but you don't have that confirmed, because obviously you didn't see it happen. Selfmade, it looks like he's actually going to do a full bot side clear, so he'll have early level 3, assuming he does Krugs into Raptors. Of course, he could do Krugs into blue, and then look for a gank up towards the top side of the map, given that you expect Mordekaiser in the early laning phase to actually... I usually expect him to have the early push, but when it's Bwipo set, it's always a little bit debatable depending on what he wants to do, and it depends on what decision-making that Selfmade has, because I believe that he decides a lot of how he wants to set up his wave based on his jungler's decision-making. So I'm very curious to see where he goes after this. So I'm keeping my eyes on Selfmade right now. Is he going Raptors, or is he going straight for enemy blue?
Looks like Raptors will be the call. So a bit more bot side focused pathing for now. Bwipo very much in control of the top lane match. It looks like Mordekaiser may not be able to trade until he has a few more levels under his belt. Set does a lot more with just the punches that Mordekaiser is able to do. But Lurox on the top side could be a problem for Fnatic. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, a bit of vision laid down for Dreams. One thing I do love about Hylissang Tahm Kench is he's not afraid to step forward and get a bit aggressive on the trading, really maximize value out of Thick Skin once he has that ability taken.
You can see how Fnatic is actually doing a really great job of just holding the wave just outside of tower, which means that Schalke can't quite get the bounce that they want, but now they'll finally be able to shove it in. And I really want to highlight this ward as well that was put down by Abbedagge, because this was really important in mitigating any early ganks coming out from Selfmade, because he did a full clear bot. Abbedagge recognized that this could be a possibility and wanted to prepare for it, and then you have another ward in the tri-bush just north of where Inax and Dreams is. And again, all of this planning was around, we're going to be pushing, we need to make sure that we don't get ganked early, and that means Selfmade isn't able to find any early opportunities in mid or in the bot lane.
And now we have to see if Lurox can get anything done. clearing his way to the bottom side, should be able to trade Scuttle Crab for Scuttle Crab. And obviously with Rakan to get things kicked off, much easier for Rek'Sai to find that knock-up in the bot lane. But Rekkles and Hylissang playing pretty far back in this lane, willing to get pushed in, seeing that their jungler is on the top side of the map. However, as I say that, they do step forward.
Yeah, because the bounce has happened. So Schalke, of course, shoved that wave underneath the tower, and now Lorix is looking for the gank.
Knock-up on Hylissang will not connect. That's going to be pretty tough. The exhaust comes in as well, but the knock-up on Hylissang is there in the end. The flash out to safety. Hylissang will walk away with his life, and now Rekkles is following up with a bit of damage of his own. Well escaped by Fnatic, but losing the flash there as well as the exhaust. Going to make it a bit more difficult in future plays.
Note that Bwipo still has his teleport. He got a good cheetah recall off in the top lane, meaning that he didn't have to burn it, but was still able to get early back and a buy. This could force Odoamne to use his TP early on, allowing Fnatic to set up for either a counter gank or a play in the bot side of the map. So great lane setup from Bwipo and good wave management to be able to respond to any pressure that could come down in the bot lane.
Now we see how these trades play out. Odoamne, it looks like
in extended trades, usually the Mordekaiser does have the advantage because of the passive that flows around him. But I think that Bwipo played that very well, and he popped the health pot very quickly as well. You've got to appreciate that he has an advantage over his opponent too, which is also helping him in this 1 versus 1.
Lorax coming down, but was spotted out here. Very clearly walking to top side. Looks like trying to set up Odoamne to get a good recall. Solid sidestep from Bwipo there means he won't take too much more damage, and Scryer's Bloom can be popped as well.
But have a look at the top wave right now, because Bwipo's doing a great job of actually freezing this wave just outside the tower, and Odoamne wants to base. He wants to get a reset off, but Bwipo is managing his wave perfectly and making things very obnoxious for Odo. That's why Lorix had to path bot to try and help Odo reset this wave, but Bwipo's just being super obnoxious right now, and just holding the wave at just the right spot. And look, he's going to keep holding it here again. Beautiful wave management coming out from Bwipo right now, and this could force Odo to TP, because if he doesn't, then Bwipo's just going to have this wave stacking and slow pushing into him, and then of course, we then have to go back to what we were talking about earlier. Fnatic with the TP advantage. Here comes the TP top lane, highlighted by our observers, and now Fnatic get what they want. They can force this TP play down towards the bot lane, and this is now what we have to keep our eyes on. Beautiful play from Bwipo in this early laning phase to allow Fnatic to now look for that early game advantage.
And I love that he's leveraging the set passive as well, the Astro Generation, just to tank creeps, knowing that he can hold that wave indefinitely as long as Mordekaiser doesn't step forward. The downside is Odoamne now has an experience advantage, but doesn't seem to be doing him a lot of good as Bwipo will finally tick over to level 6. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Nemesis has hit level 6 as well. Maybe this is where we start to see some more aggressive plays. The push back into the tower. Abbedagge walking him down, but not a ton of mana. Knockup goes through. Nemesis forced to flash out. A bit over-aggressive there, not respecting the Emperor's Divide.
Now, the misplay there from Nemesis was he used his E when the Q had not hit Abbedagge, which means he couldn't use the second E after he got underneath the tower. Forced a flash to avoid Dreams, which means that he ends up losing his, well, flash.
Yeah.
So he does get to keep his life, but you could see that he was going for a trade there, and he thought that he could win it. And it's understandable, because this early on to the game, level 6 rather, the Diana does have a lot of damage and a lot of all-in potential, and he could force Abbedagge back. But not going to pan out. Fnatic now using the pressure that they have bot in order to set up for the Drake. And again, I'm still keeping my... Oh. You know, I set up this whole thing about Bwipo managing his wave, and they TP's top, Dracos.
Yeah, but sometimes there's just not a play to be made. You know, sometimes the great use of TP is to go top and slowly build a CS advantage.
I mean, for sure, it still resulted in a huge CS advantage for him, and it's still worth acknowledging that he managed that wave extremely well. I thought it would have resulted in more, but Fnatic just going to take the slow approach. We talked about how they do have a little bit more of a scaling comp in terms of what they've built for themselves. So yeah.
And things on the bottom side of the map, while they may have looked initially good for the Zion Rakan, are getting a lot harder, especially with this gun setup from Rekkles. Severum as well as the Chakram. Does mean that he's a melee, well, a close-range killer.
Wow, he's actually level 6 already.
Yeah, what did we... I guess it's just...
I mean,
zoning
running
off?
teleport? No, he's not. But it's probably to do with base timing. Hylissang probably looked for a roam after one of his first bases. You can see that he went for early boots. So normally 80 carries do have a small level difference, and you can see Inax hitting 6 as well. So
yeah, but Dreams is significantly behind. I guess that's just the roam mid.
Must have been, yeah.
Definitely going to make it much more difficult to get anything done here. Now, luckily, neither of the weapons he has are really threatening in an ult capacity, but once the slow gun comes through, it's going to be a lot easier for Selfmade to try to find a play on bottom side, something Schalke have to be painfully aware of.
I really want to see Schalke actually make this bot lane play, because Hylissang's flash is about to come back up. Unfortunately, Dreams is not going to be level 6, and he's not going to be in a position to use that, but we talked about how Schalke should have more early game options available to them, and outside of that one gank bot, I feel like we haven't really seen them utilize it. They could also look for a gank mid, Shurima Shuffle into Rek'Sai, a lot of damage available to them in this mid 2 versus 1. And I want to see Schalke try and utilize some of these early game plays because they need to. Aphelios in the late game is going to offer a lot more than what the Zyra is going to be able to offer, and I think that the longer this game goes, it could be harder, especially if Fnatic start to split up the map and start playing through these side lanes.
See extended trade on the top side. Vedis, I'm curious, do you think even with like the Azir compared to the Diana, do you still just feel like it's that much easier for Fnatic to win in the quote-unquote scaling
no,
war?
Because when you think about how these late game fights, one of the things you've always got to consider is range.
Yeah.
And while I do think Fnatic do have some pretty solid dive with the Lee Sin and the Diana, there's a lot of disengage simply due to the Azir ultimate and the fact that Mordekaiser can also lock out a target from the fight. So he may just remove the Diana and mitigate a lot of that dive, while Schalke then look to play front to back. So I think that it's not cut and dry in that Fnatic just straight up outscale. What I would say is that Fnatic will have stronger side lanes in the late game, so they can look to play through that, but they may get forced into team fighting, and depending on the circumstances in which they fight in, could be very challenging for them because of how long range the Azir is and how his ultimate can be very difficult for a Diana to do.
Interesting. Needs a little bit more pressure on Abbedagge, and for now, a bit more pressure on Rekkles. He's going to get a lot of poke damage down. His tower instantly deleted there. Of course, Fnatic do pick up the Herald while we're talking about the scaling of both teams. That means Fnatic can look to use it to get a greater gold advantage. See if they want to use it to knock down any specific tower. For now, lanes have just swapped. Neither team going for any incredibly aggressive macro play, as both Abbedagge and Lorax sync their recall timings.
So the next Drake is spawning in about 1 minute and 45 seconds. Bwipo just missing his E, but you imagine that that's going to be the next primary objective that they look to play for. On the next, probably on the next 2 waves, probably on the next cannon wave that spawns, that's when I imagine the Fnatic bot lane will look to swap. Schalke haven't, outside of the very early lane, haven't really been able to gain priority in this lane, which is why I expect Fnatic to look to swap first. Dreams has been looking to roam a lot, and you can see he's pathing towards mid. The flash, again, about to come up for Nemesis, hasn't really been tried to punish. A little disappointing from the side of Schalke, because I think that when you're going for this Rek'Sai pick, you have to be aggressive, because while in terms of the 1v1, sure, Rek'Sai should be able to beat the Lee Sin, he, because of his kick, offers that bit extra in the late game in terms of utility and actual setup.
And we've seen it so many games across League of Legends history. A late game kick can be a deciding factor. Inax, though, caught out, exhausted, and looks like he will fall. Now the rest of the team looking for the re-engage here as Dreams comes through. The spit outs there. Inax flashing forward, but that's not going to work out for him. It's going to be a few more seconds so Rekkles can find the snare again, but it's not too far off. He's going to finish him off with the Infernum, a shot to the face, flamethrower, more than enough.
Well, that's not what Schalke want. They just get straight up massacred in the 2 versus 2, and a lot of that just came off the back of Inax not respecting that his AD carry was roaming. Dreams was looking for a play in mid lane. He didn't find it, so he then converted it into gaining vision control over the river, and Inax oversteps. Fnatic immediately capitalize. If Tahm Kench is walking up to you and just auto-attacking you, you're doing something
You've
wrong.
already lost. You're already dead. You don't know it yet. You're probably already dead.
Yeah, and so, yeah, huge punish on the side of Fnatic, and now Rekkles and Hylissang have 2 kills.
Yeah, and a lot more tower plates under their belts as well, as Rekkles is going to back off here. Don't think they're going to take another risk on an engage. Can use Tahm Kench ult to get out of the general area if they need to, but more likely than not, they're just going to be fine. 12 minutes in, Fnatic extending their gold lead to almost 2,500.
Hylissang is level 8, Dreams is level 6.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to push the wave. He gets hit by a Q, and then the exhaust comes down. He holds his ultimate, and you can see he's got a bunch of feathers down. So he's thinking, hey, if I get the feathers and land the combo combined with the knockup, then maybe I could one-shot him. But he can't. And he gets solo killed by Tahm Kench. Meanwhile, in the river, Abbedagge is dealing with Selfmade, but they just zone him off. He's not really able to do much. And yeah, now Schalke's in a really bad spot, because the one lane that they could have looked to play through, they didn't. They couldn't find any kills, and Fnatic find a 2v2 in that lane, which they definitely shouldn't. And now Rekkles is really fed. And of all the players on Fnatic that I wouldn't want fed, he's probably my #1 who I don't want fed.
Well, and he's definitely also the one that shouldn't be fed.
Yes.
As you mentioned already, he's the guy that's supposed to sit and wait for 3 items and kind of suffer through the Xayah Rakan shenanigans. He's not the one that's supposed to just win the 2v2.
I mean, we talked about that being the weak side, you know? And, well, he's definitely not the weak side anymore.
Nope. That's an Essence Reaver as well as the boots finish. You can see Inax notably lagging behind in terms of experience, gold, items.
Nemesis just got 570 gold. He now has a 1k gold advantage over his lane opponent, and he's going to rush the Nash's Tooth. You can see it on your screen right now. Thank you for highlighting that, observers. And, yeah, Shock is just kind of getting massacred in the lane right now.
Yeah. And at this point, it's going to be very difficult for them to pull back, as you mentioned. Team fights, yes, Shock can get something done, but in the 1-3-1 individual side laners, Fnatic expecting to be stronger. And they are winning out pretty much across the lanes outside of the Mordekaiser for Odoamne, who is slowly evening things up in terms of CS.
For sure, and once he gets the Liandry's, he's going to be much stronger in terms of that 1v1 against set, but that doesn't really matter, because even if he can 1v1 the set, he's getting to a point where he won't be able to 1v1 the Diana. You can see that he's went for very early Seeker's Arm Guard to deal with the set, but if he ends up in a 1v1 against the Diana, that's a lot of magic damage that you're not going to be able to mitigate, and Nemesis is someone that rushes the Nash's Tooth. I find that your mana becomes a bit more of a problem if you don't go for Rod of Ages, but your trading and damage is much stronger by going for a very early Nash's Tooth, just because you get cooldown reduction that much earlier into the game, and it just synergizes so well with your passive that it's such a good item. You can see that Nemesis also is able to get the Zhonya's Hourglass that much earlier, which is always a great feeling on Diana, because you want to be in the face of your opposition, and so by having the Zhonyas, it mitigates a lot of the damage, especially when you dive in, get your ultimate off, and you're waiting for your cooldowns to come back up. So.
I mean, Hourglass always feels good when you're playing a champion that has any kind of delayed damage. The fact that you can set that up and add Zhonya's through it and still kind of be a threat. Tahm Kench now coming in. Lark's going to get the knock up there. The Nemesis just walking into the tower here, taking a bit of damage, but they are going to be able to finish this one off, and now the leap in, but Abbedagge goes through. He's going to push them back. He's going to flash into safety. The snare is there, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Rekkles now locking him down. Abbedagge is going to drop, but Odoamne's on the way in. TP coming in from set. Odoamne has to be careful. He gets suplexed back by Bwipo here. It's going to be disastrous. Pulled back. Odoamne pulls up Bwipo right into the Death Realm, but I don't think he's strong enough. The Haymaker coming through. The 1-2 punch. It's the 1v1 in the Death Realm, and Odoamne is going to have to run for his life. Bwipo, though, chasing a bit too far. The knockup's coming down. Dunked down by the Obliterate, but Bwipo's still walking away. No time for a second Haymaker. And in the end, a very messy exchange overall. 2 for 1, actually.
I don't think it's over yet, Dragos.
Dreams, though. The knockup comes through. Odoamne with the pullback. He's healing up a decent amount. Nemesis, though, trying to take him down. The Rek'Sai coming through. Lorax trying to get something done. The tunnel out to safety. Snare has to wait for a brief moment, chasing the tongue. Hilla saying, you can't do this to him, walking him down. Rekkles gonna grab that one. Triple kill for the People's Champ himself.
And Rekkles now sits at 5-0-2. Initially, that fight looks pretty messy for Fnatic, with Nemesis missing his ultimate and not being able to one-shot the Azir. You can see that Selfmade kind of divided with the rest of his team as they're trying to set up the collapse onto Abba. He then goes onto the backline, uses his ultimate to separate himself, and now Schalke is saying, okay, let's just kill Selfmade, but really good Q coming out from Selfmade to get himself out of that awkward situation. But then the TP comes through. Odoamne, he takes the ultimate very early on, so there's no way he can win this trade because he's just taken too much damage at the start of it. But now you can see Rekkles and Nemesis actually playing more defensively. They recognize that, oh, we're not in a great position here. We don't want to funnel into this choke point, which means that Bwipo's kind of left out to dry. But now their cooldowns come back up. Dreams takes a little bit too much poke. Odoamne doesn't have enough health to be relevant, which gives him the opportunity to re-engage. Nemesis dives in. He's able to get a last bit of damage off. He actually gets a pretty meaty amount of damage off onto the AD carry, allowing Rekkles to then clean things up as Hylissang sets up the play.
And the thing that I really love there is how Fnatic respect the feathers from Xayah. You can see Inax setting up. He sees this moment to shine. He's got 6 feathers set up, but Fnatic wait until those feathers time out to start moving forward, knowing that they could get snared up, knowing that the fight could turn. It's the kind of patience you want. It's not all bad. However, really the bad news is that the Rek'Sai was doing most of the damage there, and sadly for Abbedagge, ooh, the pushback under the tower. Cooldown traded.
Rekkles.
Yeah, big ol'. Goodbye.
And they find another pick. Fnatic now 8-3 in terms of kills, and I don't think the action's over yet.
Bwipo going to be in trouble here. The knockup's coming through. So much damage fired down on Bwipo. The Haymaker is there. Rek'Sai going under and coming right back up, and Nemesis is on the way in now too, and Bwipo is still alive. Odoamne now in the 2v1. Has to back away, pulling Nemesis back. Big chunk there on the Obliterate, but That was another desperate attempt, and Schalke, the fact that turned against them means that it's free reign in the mid lane for the side of Fnatic.
Good teleport comes through from Nemesis, and with the Rift Herald, they have their eyes set on the mid tower. Pre-20 minutes, taking an inhibitor can be dangerous, but the rate at which Fnatic is accelerating the game, it seems that they don't care.
Yeah, that's a 6K gold lead. I would safely say that Fnatic are past the point. Rekkles is playing like a man possessed. 6-0-2. Beneficiary of just about every single kill in this game, and you can see that it is paying off because he is 9.5K. Abbedagge, the best paid man on the Schalke lineup, only at 6.3, right alongside Inax.
Schalke are just being torn apart left, right, and center right now. They weren't able to find any early game advantages. They couldn't find any successful ganks, and Fnatic just outclassing them individually right now.
And now the Wits End coming in for the set. I was wondering when we saw...
Oh, I like that itemization. Makes sense.
Pulling back, though. Nemesis still fishing for a bit of a 1v1 here. The pullback pulls him under the tower. Odoamne will back away, but sadly for Odoamne, he does not get the luxury of any more 1v1s, as all 4 members of Fnatic are here pressing in. Schalke going to trade back.
They have another wave coming, Dracos.
I think they get a second inhibitor.
I think they might, yeah. Look, no, none of them are basing right now.
The pushback.
Oh, no. Oh, you hate to say. Have Schalke just given up?
This is... Whew. All right.
That's 2 inhibs gone.
I mean, not a lot to say there. Schalke went for a thing. The thing did not work out, and they were punished. And when you're punished by a team that's 6K gold ahead of you, it's not a kill, it's an inhibitor.
Yep, and now Fnatic, if they want, can just insta-do Baron. It's going to be spawning in 8 seconds. And, yeah, I mean, so the bright side for Fnatic fans is G2 lost to Schalke, Fnatic didn't, right? You know, so they can be pretty happy about that. And sets up nicely for the match of the week next week.
It does. And of course, we get the player's perspective. As Whipple will break down the draft, I believe, for our next game. Not this draft right here, although I'm sure he has some insight on that as well. Maybe on Wits End set.
I mean, I'd love to get his opinion on Tahm Kench. Because...
Why?
Because I want to know why Fnatic put so much priority on it. You know, like, when I think of Hylissang, I think of, like, Thresh, I think Rakan, I think more of these engaged, playmaking, pick-style champions. But recently, they've been putting their bot lane on a much more weak-side-focused playstyle. And I'm curious as to why this week they decided to put that focus there.
I respect that your analytical prowess outweighs your hatred for Tahm Kench. And that you're like, all right, while I may hate this champion, I will still ask the necessary questions to understand why his big catfish face is in this game.
At least they're not blind picking Tahm Kench, right? Because if they started doing that, then Whippo and I need to chat.
There you go. Yeah, because it's Whippo's fault.
Whippo, my man.
Whippo, blame you for everything. Good, bad, it's all your fault. Team wins, Whippo. Team loses,
I mean, he's cast of this now, you know?
That's true. He's accountable. Here comes the Dreams, engaged, trying to find it. The knockup is there. Hylissang has Rekkles in the belly. Abbedagge going to push Rekkles back. Rekkles now deleted. Schalke can turn the fight. Whippo stepping forward, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And now Selfmade trying to get something done, but he gets shredded. Are you kidding me? Right as we praise them, right as Fnatic seem poised to end the game, they find the fight they need, and Schalke are right back in it.
Wow, Schalke. I was not expecting them to find that fight. And part of the reason you can see why Tahm Kench against the Rakan, while he offers a momentary protection for the AD carry, it's not enough because the follow-up CC is there. Now, Nemesis is still here. Does he have his ultimate? He does. He's looking to try and keep the team alive. Let's see, the Baron has been started.
And X has ulti, there's no smite here. There's a big chunk of damage though with the Diana ult if they can time it well, but it's pretty telegraphed. Nemesis goes to the back line. Trying to buy a bit more time. Nemesis is going to get taken out. TP on the way, and they're in the midst of the fight. It's everybody versus Baron. Whippo now there. The raid boss that they need to take down. Who's going to get the Baron in the end? The smite comes in for Lorax. Fnatic. Multiple members in the pit. And X can pull the feathers back. The flash through. Knocks Whippo down. Where's the Haymaker going to go? Whippo doesn't have it. Rek'Sai comes out from under the ground and crushes Dreams in an instant. And that's what you want to see. But Selfmade here to try to save the day. But it's not enough. Inax is still alive. He's shielded up. He's trying to buy a bit more time, but he goes down. Selfmade is going to be the difference maker. The double kill for the Lee Sin as Rek'Sai will back away with the Baron buff. But Fnatic playing with fire.
Now, Schalke have the Baron, and the advantage of having 2 inhibs down is you now just get to free farm. You found a lot of shutdowns, a lot of kills, and look, Inax, Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver now completed. This is where the engage starts. the bot lane of Fnatic is clearing out vision without the rest of their team. They get caught up, they get charmed up by the Rakan, and then the follow-up Azir engage is there to shut them down. A huge amount of gold unfortunately goes on to Dreams, but still, the kill is the kill. Now, Fnatic rejoin the fight, utilizing the Tahm Kench ultimate. Nemesis as well. I think he gets brought into the Death Realm just before his ultimate lands, which means that he's not able to wipe the entire team of Schalke. That damage could have been enough to swing the fight in favor of Fnatic, but quick response there from Odoamne to keep the rest of his team alive, to allow them to secure the Baron. And again, you think they're going to clean up the fight at the end of this, but then Selfmade arrives rather. He's able to land that good Q onto Inax, and he just barely is able to find that kill. And Fnatic, yes, they take away 3 Barons, but Schalke showcasing that they still have life in this game.
Yeah, no, only 3k deficit, a minute and 30 seconds left for Schalke on this Baron buff. And Fnatic now, there's the pullback, the pushback onto the Diana, but the disengage just comes out. Quickness already used.
Yeah, that's a lot of ultimates gone now for Schalke. They still don't feel strong enough to fight. Good play by Nemesis to force Abbedagge back, and they will secure the Ocean Stall. This is still a very big deal. I believe right now this is the strongest soul in League, and it's very obnoxious to deal with. A lot of additional regeneration will make these fights that much harder for Schalke if they weren't already. But this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in draft, Dino Dracos, which was Schalke make games hard for people.
That's true.
We'd written this game off.
Yeah, you literally were giving your speech. You're like, haha, good news. G2 lost it, Fnatic's not.
And we thought it was over, and then Schalke find a really good fight around the Baron. Now they can stall. Now the inhibs are respawning. And again, it just goes to show Schalke never go down easy. It seems like that they're always just willing to fight you to the bitter end, and they never want to give up any of these losses. And when we talked about scaling, we talked about how Abbedagge is going to be one of the best late-game insurances that Schalke have. Mordekaiser as well. I think that he actually scales very well into the late game, especially when he completes Nash's to 3rd. It looks like he is going to go towards it, and he's just going to bypass the Zhonya's Hourglass. Clearly, he thinks that it's not that important right now. And we should also highlight that there's still a 3k gold deficit, so it's not like Fnatic is weak, but they now have to wait for the next Baron. And that gives Schalke an opportunity to get more items in their back pocket. It allows them to look for another opportunity to win a team fight. And you can just see this itemization really starting to come through for the side of Schalke. Levels as well. Abbedagge has a whole level advantage over Nemesis. Nemesis just turned 15, rather. Odoamne, 2 levels above Whippo. By going for the early Wit's End, initially it seems good when you're snowballing, but now that the game has evened out a little bit, he's really low on HP. He's surprisingly squishy, which means that if Inax gets on top of you, you're just going to get melted. So you can see how this game, all of a sudden, Schalke is in a much more favorable position, and we can't write the game off anymore.
No. Absolutely cannot. But the thing that Schalke have to keep in mind is what was the path to success in the last fight? And it was killing Rekkles, and that's still going to be everything because he's where most of the gold is located for this team. No winning team fight for Schalke starts with Rekkles alive. Has to come through on the pick there, and of course, this time you have to imagine that Fnatic will respect it. If it looks like Rekkles or Hylissang are going to get caught out, they need to buy as much time as possible and protect that man. He's got all the gold, he's got all the items. 3.5 there for the Aphelios. You see Dreams and Inax trying potentially to find the play, but it will not happen. So as you said, Vedius, minute 40 seconds till the Baron, 3 minutes till Elder, something Schalke also have to respect. But very much stalled out game state for now as both teams just farm up and wait for those next items.
It's the Baron, Daniel Dracos. Why do I keep calling you Daniel Dracos? Dracos. It's the Baron.
That's fine.
The Baron is what I'm keeping my eyes on. It's about to get spicy.
Spicy.
Ooh, Morellonomicon.
Spicy.
Does it make sense? I can hear Twitter analysts around the world typing furious.
The math hasn't been done.
Is there enough healing to justify
There's
this?
3 conquerors. How much healing is it actually?
How much healing? Does this make sense?
Tahm Kench got to deny the healing. I guess it's Ocean Soul, so
yeah, so that's
pretty good. I'm gonna take back everything else. Ocean Soul, probably the only reason you need. But
yeah, I agree. You're correct. That is probably why he bought it.
We're like instantly going.
We're just making fun of Twitter.
Yeah.
But also the Nash's Tooth is done for Odoamne.
Yeah, the Death Realm 1v1s are going to be a lot harder for anyone he does pull in now with that item.
Ooh, Liandry's on Nemesis. Actually, I'm curious as to how good of an item that is for Diana.
Does Nash proc it? That's my question.
I mean, do autos proc Liandry's?
Was it the magic spell damage effects? I believe not.
Yeah. I'm not sure how the passive does. Bear in mind, you do have on-hit magic damage.
That's true.
So,
we'll see. We're going to see in a fight.
I mean, like, if he's building it, I would imagine that it's still a pretty good item. By all means, like, the Andrews is a good item.
Yeah. I mean, it's 10% increased damage on top of the burn.
Yeah. And I imagine it's pretty easy to stack as well if you're able to land your ultimate onto multiple people. You have the W to build it. QE is very quickly going to build it as well, so... Either way, great item. We now see posturing around the Baron. This is going to be the deciding factor. All the inhibs are back for Schalke. Level 17 for Abbedagge now.
We did talk about the difference here in team compositions and how Schalke may be
go.
favored in the engage. The knock up there goes in on the self-made. They're trying to get one kicked off, but it's already the Diana in the backline. Nemesis going to buy a bit more time. Death Realm has now come out, but Reckless free-firing from the backside.
Odoamne's not winning this.
That is not the 1v1 that he wanted. Diana getting pulled back. The dunk down from Bwipo right as the Death Realm falls away, and everything is falling apart from Schalke. Abbedagge with the disengage. Reckless with the flash forward, self-made kick over the wall, trying to find the follow-up, but Bwipo now just chasing in, looking for the facebreaker. Pull back onto Dreams, but Dreams going to make it out to safety. Now they're trying to retreat. Fnatic definitely the driver's seat. 2 for 0 so far, rather 1 for 0. It looks like Lorax did manage to make it out.
That was definitely not the engage that Schalke was looking for. They dived on top of Self-Made, and they weren't even killing. Clearly, Nemesis was their target, but he had a very quick Zhonya's to keep himself alive. Reckless stayed alive. Now Fnatic is going to secure 2 inhibs. Question is, can they end the game? I think it would be too dangerous to try with Elder and Baron up very, very soon.
Odoamne's TP's up and available. Tahm Kench, Abyssal Voyage now used, ferrying Reckless to that red buff. No vision set up in the pit for the side of Schalke, so should be easy for Reckless, even by himself, just to shred through this one. Not taking any damage whatsoever.
Oh, look at all the chakrams. There's just so many.
6K. Dreams wants to try to make it in the pit. Lorax is here as well, trying to ferry him in, but already the Baron's been taken down, and Nemesis, that's his cue to step forward. Fnatic just going to take this one slow, now giving Schalke a lot more respect. And as you said, Vedia, Schalke may have earned it, but Fnatic still very much poised to end this game.
Yep. Fnatic now firmly back in the driver's seat. Schalke's best bet is to try and rush down the Elder Drake. TP is available on Bwipo. He's looking for it. You can see him sitting on the base, waiting for a flank. The minion wave in bot lane, he's going to TP to it. And here he comes.
6K, dropping, getting lower, self-made over the wall. They cannot afford to miss this smite. Lorax, it's now or never. If you show up here, your team may win it, and they are going to be able to grab it. Pulled into the Death Realm by Odoamne. The opportunity is now denied, but self-made going to kick the Mordekaiser out. Trying to use him to pull back into the fight. That's the shutdown there, but Reckless now can look to turn this one
into the base
through Odoamne, but here comes Nemesis. One backdoor a week. It's the LEC. We're going to need at least 2. The dunk down to deny anything else, and it's Nemesis in the base. Every single minion powering him up. Abbedagge going to lose the 1v1 to Bwipo. Bot lane. Standing, trying desperately to hold on. Rek'Sai coming back as well, but Nemesis just walking the creeps in, and Fnatic just going to go for the closeout right here.
They have the numbers advantage with the Baron buff. They should be able to continue this siege. Only Inax left for wave clear. Bwipo has his eyes set on trying to stop Schalke from defending. Here goes Nemesis.
Nemesis pulled back. That's the ulti coming in. Buys a bit more time with the Zhonya's, but they're just shredding through. They can just ignore the champions and hit the Nexus now if they want, but they want a little bit more. They want a bit of a fight.
Lorax gets the kill.
Knocked away. Lorax will get taken down, though, by Reckless, and they're just going to auto it down. Bwipo walks face first in the base. They don't want to resist one. Reckless just going to grab one more kill. Dreams just next on the list. Oh, the push-ups, the BM, the sit-ups for Bwipo, and the closeout for Fnatic.
Schalke definitely made them work for it. They found a good pick onto Reckless around the Baron, stole that Baron away, but then Fnatic came back in firm control. It all started with the 2v2 kill in the top lane. Reckless and Hylissang really displaying their dominance up against Inax and Dreams. And from there, the game was really forever in Fnatic's control.
Yeah, a few really fantastic moments, obviously, from Schalke, but for the most part, this was a story of Fnatic dominance from start to finish. Some good moments, the Elder Dragon steal, the kill on the Reckless that led to the eventual Baron for the side of Schalke. But once they weren't able to kill Reckless, pretty much every single fight turned against them. Of course, Kia, player of the game, is always going to be important. Nemesis, Reckless, Hylissang are your choices. Now remember, while Reckless may have gotten all the kills, ask yourself who set them up.
Yeah, I mean, Hilly deserves a big shout out here. I think he had a really good Tahm Kench game. Loved how he uses ultimates to move from one lane to another. I mean, he even took his AD carry to the red buff. Like, he set up a lot of these plays.
This man's a chauffeur.
He is a chauffeur.
Yes, Mr. Reckless. Of course, Mr. Reckless.
Yes.
To the next fight, Mr. Reckless. I'll save you, Mr. Reckless.
Yeah, so, you know, big shout out to Hylissang. Think about him before you click that vote button.
True. Always going to need to debate. But smiles across the line.
I mean, they firmly sit in first place right now. Of course, Origin and G2 yet to play, but they hold possession over that title for now.
And if G2 win, match of the week next week, Fnatic versus G2.
Yep.
That's going to be insane. But
As
it's
it
almost
always
time
is.
for a match of the week this week as Rogue look to take down another top team in Origin. We're going to be back with Bwipo for picks and bans after this.
Hey guys, it's Wander from Rogue here. We are up against Origin right now, and I hope Nukeduck will not hack his tower as usual, and it's gonna be an exciting match. Tune in.